Think we'll, can everyone hear me? Wonderful. I think we'll give it one more minute before we dive right in. Okay, wonderful. I guess we'll go ahead and get started, particularly since it's a Friday and it's a Friday afternoon. So hopefully we can work our way through our listening session. So good evening or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to, I think, the third listening session for today for the Bridge strategic plan that carries us from 2023 through 2025. You can go to the next slide, please. So objective 4 is actually the objective that we've worked on, which is inclusive excellence. I thought it only fitting to provide a brief definition of inclusive excellence. And as much as I don't like to read PowerPoint slides, I'm going to read it. I'm going to do a lot of reading today, actually. But the definition that we put up on the screen for inclusive excellence is defined as a strategy for transforming Wright State University into an institution that conceptualizes inclusiveness and excellence as one and the same, makes inclusiveness ubiquitous, measurably assigns responsibility for inclusiveness to everyone on campus, and utilizes a broad definition of diversity. Okay, so objective 4, as we look at inclusive excellence at the institution, as our working team looked at inclusive excellence, we had three bullet points that we kind of looked at. Ensuring that Wright State is an inclusive and welcoming community, develop a focused recruitment plans for students, staff, and faculty, and support retention of students, staff, and faculty at the institution. And those were just a few working ideas that we pondered as we thought about inclusive excellence and as we did the work of the group. Objective 4 working group, I have a wonderful team here. As you can see, I'm the facilitator of Objective 4. Again, my name is Dr. Matthew Cheney. I'm the Vice President for Inclusive Excellence. And I'm just going to go down the list and read our team because I think it's that important because many of my team members work very hard to come up with this draft document. So first on the list is Dr. Uma Bashir. She's the chair of the Human Services Interim Chair of Social Work. Trustee Dawn Conway. We're delighted to have Trustee Conway with us, and she serves on the Wright State Board of Trustees and President and CEO of Boost Engagement. Emily Hammond, a wonderful Associate Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer. Dr. Dave Hochstein, Associate Professor of Psychology at the Lake Campus. He couldn't be with us today because he's teaching a class, and that's okay. Chris Hogan, Director of Community Standards and Student Conduct. Tanya Mathis, School of Medicine Diversity Program Manager and HERC Director. Dr. Carol Petitu, Chair of Leadership Studies. And Dr. Mike Seville, Associate Professor and Chair of Electrical Engineering. Dr. Seville has a prior obligation as well and couldn't be here today. Dr. Sue Schiller, Associate Dean of the Raj Shoin College of Business. Wayne Stark, who's been working round the clock, seems like, on our information. He's the Director of Workforce Development in the College of Liberal Arts. Dr. Nate Times, lecturer in statistics and mathematics at the Lake Campus. And Tom Webb, who's our Director, Office of Disability Services. So we're going to dive right into our first initiative. Now, each team came up with initially 3 initiatives. I think it was our marching orders, but we actually expanded that to 5 initiatives. And so I'm going to just share briefly. And again, I want to share with the group that this is a draft document, and that's why we're having this listening session so that we can have all of our campus stakeholders have an opportunity to share your input. That's vital when you're doing strategic planning. And so that's what this listening session is all about. And so at the end of this presentation, certainly there will be opportunity for questions. There'll be opportunities for feedback. That's the most important thing. So please, as you listen to some of these, and we're going to zip through it pretty quickly, but that you're jotting down your notes so that you can provide us the feedback so we can go on and move forward with our strategic planning work that we're going to do. And so again, this is a draft document. These are the ideas that we brought forth to share with you all today. So Initiative 1, Wright State will create an inclusive campus environment that is nurturing, supportive, and welcoming for all students, faculty, and staff. And so some of the measurable goals and targets that we came up with for this is conduct a campus-wide climate survey or study to learn from the campus community areas where improvement is needed in our DEI efforts. Currently, that bullet point is underway. We're just waiting on our consultant to edit and sign the contract, but I'm excited about the opportunity to hopefully roll out our campus-wide climate survey to the campus community, hopefully this semester. Bullet 2, create intentional and ongoing educational opportunities centered around diversity, unconscious bias, microaggressions, et cetera. That's an important piece that's on my docket to roll out to the campus community, and it's an important piece of President Edwards. And so I'm currently working on some presentations that we're going to roll out to the campus community. I'm going to include the culture and identity centers with that work, and so we're going to be rolling out some of these opportunities pretty soon. Third bullet, develop and implement a proposed plan to recruit a diverse workforce and student bodies so that everyone sees and experiences a campus that is reflective of society and the communities in which we live. And the fourth bullet, examine policies and institutional processes that work counter to our efforts to advance diversity and inclusive excellence. So we want to look at the policies that set us back, for lack of a better way of putting it, and look at those so that we can revamp those policies and so they can be more fair and equitable to our campus community. Initiative 2, Wright State will develop a robust plan to recruit and retain students from underrepresented minoritized populations locally, regionally, and in other untapped feasible markets. As you can see, measurable goal, bullet 1 is designing an effective recruitment plan. Will first be accomplished by looking at current baseline and enrollment data provided by institutional research. So I think that's already underway. In fact, I had a wonderful meeting yesterday with our Vice President of Enrollment Management to actually talk about some of the baseline data that we should be collecting in regards to these efforts. Create a strategic minoritized student recruitment plan that focuses on local inner-city Dayton Public School District, utilizing current admissions staff. I think that's underway. Utilize technology in our efforts to recruit URMs like geotechnologies. I know that we're doing some work with geotechnologies, expanding our strategic URM recruitment plan to the region and untapped markets that make sense outside of our region, like Southeast or Lower Michigan areas, Indiana areas, Kentucky areas. From a retention standpoint, continued and expanded support of our culture and identity centers, creating a targeted summer bridge program for underrepresented minoritized students as a retention effort. It's vital and important. And so that leads us to Initiative 3, which is our curriculum subgroup. And you can see the members that work diligently and hard on the curriculum subgroup. And if I could have someone on the next slide, if I don't know if Uma wants to jump in or Dr. Petitu to kind of talk through Initiative number 3, that would be great. And that'll save my voice a little bit.
Well, I'll go ahead and make some comments, and Huma and Shu also worked on this. So if you guys jump in and share any comments as well. And as Matt said, this is in draft form, so who knows what it'll look like when it'll get done. But our subcommittee focused on integrating inclusive excellence into the curriculum. And as you'll see, for a few of our goals, we said collect and share accessible best practices of teaching inclusive excellence in existing curriculum, provide a central location for these best practices. And the reason that we said that is because we know across our whole campus, faculty are doing a stellar job of embedding inclusive excellence or diversity into the curriculum because we all have accrediting and professional bodies that require us to do that. And we don't do things the old way where we have like one class on diversity for undergrad or graduate students and then we're done with it. We don't do it. We make sure we embed inclusive excellence throughout our entire program through multiple courses, not just one. And so because we know a lot of people are doing great things, but sometimes if you're on a floor, one faculty member might not be knowing what their colleague is doing next door. And so if we could put all of these best practices in a central location, that would help existing faculty, and it would also help new faculty as well. And we really didn't discuss a central location, but just off the top of my head right now, I know a lot of faculty utilize the Center for Teaching and Learning, so maybe that could be a possible location. And then we also had some specific goals related to the Wright State Core to assess the need and possibility of including inclusive excellence there. But I will say this, I'm not on that committee, but I do know that multicultural competence is already embedded in the Wright State Core, and there is a core oversight committee that's doing a great job. So one of the things that we suggested is maybe having a representative of DEI, which is diversity, equity, inclusion. There's a committee that works on that along with social justice, maybe have a representative from that group serve on the Wright State Core Oversight Committee. And that rep could be voting or non-voting. And on that committee, we have phenomenal people who are co-chairs, Brian Boyd and Sarah McGinley. And I'm sure there's many great people on there that probably already have a great background in inclusive excellence. And so that may or may not be needed, but that's one of our suggestions. And then also too, as a lot of you know, because our university again is doing so many great things in this area, this fall, our university started the Center for Faculty Excellence, better known as CFE, but I always say the full names because I know these acronyms, sometimes I even forget what the acronym is. They launched this Equity Champions Academy that started this fall. And those champions, I think they're in the process of being selected, but they're going to promote equity, diversity, access, and inclusion in classes. And participants will implement DEI pedagogy or lead reform activities in academic units. And from what I recall, that was funded by a grant and through the Provost's office and our Division of Student Success. And if there's individuals who know more about that, feel free to share it. But hopefully, even though it's a grant, it's something that could continue because that is a stellar initiative that our university has started. Human Shu or anyone, anything else to add related to this?
Not that I can see, Carol. Thank you so much. I think this is what we wanted to get across in the draft form for now.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to you, Matt.
Thank you so much, Dr. Petitu. Next is Initiative 4, which is the Workforce Development Subgroup. And as you can see, these are the members of that subgroup: Emily Hammond, Dr. Dave Hochstein, Tanya Mathis, and Wayne Stark. And so I'm going to turn it over to Wayne Stark, our Director of Workforce Development. He put a lot of work and effort, well, the entire team did, but he put a lot of work and effort into this initiative. And so I'll let him take over and share what he came up with.
Thank you, Dr. Cheney. I appreciate the opportunity. It's a privilege to be able to speak with everyone today. My name is Wayne Stark, but I do want to recognize, thank you, Dr. Cheney, for your kind words. Emily Hammond, our Associate Vice President, Chief Human Resources Officer, put a lot of work on this, as did Tanya Mathis and Dr. David Hochstein as well from the Lake Campus. So working together and collaboratively, we came together to put together a couple pieces that have to do with workforce development vis-a-vis our faculty and staff, and also our student population as well. So with Initiative 4, you can see kind of our, for the first part, our statement there. We want to attract and cultivate a more diverse and equitable workforce, faculty and staff. We're going to look at recruitment, inclusivity, various retention strategies, and ensure, and this is kind of the why statement that I tried to put in a lot of the work that we did for our initiatives. Why are we doing these things? Well, we want to be able to make sure that we ensure our culture of inclusion flourishes and grows, and to strengthen our ability to retain students from all backgrounds. Wright State University, I believe, does a fine job when it comes to our ability to, work with various cultures and backgrounds and students, faculty, and staff from various socioeconomic statuses. But we can always do better, and that's what we're wanting to do through this strategic planning process. So number one there, measurable goals and targets. We're going to really basically, where I feel all good strategic planning should start, is looking at what we have right now and getting a feel for what we're doing in relation to our hiring processes, our ability to achieve a more diverse and inclusive workforce. We want to evaluate and compare what we're doing in these areas really to best practices and standards from other institutions of higher education, national, state, and local levels. Now, it's a big and ambitious thing to do, looking at a lot of data and a lot of information to process and analyze, but we could potentially narrow that down to our peer institutions. But we want to take a look at the work that's being done, appropriate offices, and our team here on the strategic planning for workforce would do that and work especially with other members of our community, particularly in human resources, enrollment management, admissions, and things of that nature. Now, Emily, our Chief Human Resources Officer, is with us today. And Emily, would you have anything you would want to add to this slide before I move on?
No, Wayne, I think you did a great job. I will say to the community that we were hoping for more definitive numerical goals, but that is a risky place to be sometimes. In the Chronicle of Higher Education just this week, there was, sorry, go ahead. No, I was just sharing that there was an article in the Chronicle of Higher Education that talked about some of the risks of having direct numerical goals. So we really tried to get at how do we improve what we're doing? How do we make things better? I like that Wayne absolutely pointed out, starting with understanding where we are as comparisons, I think is important. And then we can figure out where to move on from there.
Thank you, Emily. Mia, yeah. Okay, so measurable goals and targets continued on that. Once we really get a feel for best practices and looking at various standards, Emily helped to bring in this idea of looking at our applicant pools. I think that's critical. We'll look at that demographic data and regularly compare that with the comparison groups that we choose, whether they're national, state, local, or peer, like I mentioned earlier. I think looking towards 2025, there's some things that we want to distinguish our workforce, something that really sets us out. And this also comes from HERC, the Higher Education Resource Consortium, and Tanya Mathis contributed some of this. Obtaining an authentic reputation as an employer who values diversity, equity, inclusion. Having our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion visible in our hiring processes as well as in our guiding documents and statements. It'll be reinforced with resource allocation where necessary and feasible. But being known as an inclusive campus culture where employees with diverse backgrounds and experiences are welcome, and this is one of the things that I think is truly important, can thrive. And being able to thrive and being able to, to produce and be happy in an environment. There's so many studies out there that show a diverse work environment really contributes to that. And while I believe we do have one, we want to work once again to make it stronger and better and recognizable to the outside community, various stakeholders and constituencies. So this is the second part of what we're looking at. The first part looked more or less at faculty, staff, recruitment and retention and things like that. This one does that, but it also gets to something near and dear to my heart, and I know everybody here, and that's the students. We want to make sure that they are retained, that they can thrive in a very diverse and inclusive environment as well. But we want to take a look once again at what's existing here as far as our programming, events, resources, and services that are available to faculty, staff, and also students as well. What kinds of things are we doing? I know there's lots of excellent programming. Just like Dr. Petitu mentioned in the curricular aspects, there's so much going on here, whether it's within the context of the classroom or co-curricular activities, division of student success. Everybody's working hard to create these things, but to really understand how they're working together, synergies that are happening, collaborations that are going on, it's important to understand that. So, we'll be looking at different types of surveys potentially. We'll be looking at different reports that are already in existence, doing maybe some different evaluations and analyses on our own to really see, what can we do to better serve our underserved populations as well. So once again, comparison, I believe, does have to happen. I've talked to many different people that say, well, we kind of want to get ourselves understand what we're doing and look at goals that make sense for us. And I get that. It's very important. But also at some point, you have to have some benchmarking and comparison data and matrices that we can look at to see where we're at and plot out where we want to go. Because ultimately, as you'll see, the idea is to meet or exceed what our peer institutions are doing. So by 2025, and once again, that timeline is going to be very, very, kind of up for grabs on how we do it. We want to get it better solidified, maybe semester by semester, but, with what we want to do as far as research analyses, benchmarking, and things like that. But once again, it's about creating something that is, very distinctive and something that will distinguish Wright State. So we want to broaden our offerings in a way that makes sense. When it comes to our students or our faculty and staff, how they're developing and working and learning about, the workforce of tomorrow. Obviously, diversity and equitable practices and inclusive practices are extremely important. I am very excited about working with my team in career services and others and collaborating with faculty like I often do to really strengthen pathways and expand opportunities for employees and students. Whether that's through innovative programming that brings in employers in the community in a more strategic way that represent, diversity and equity organizations. I know I'm working on an event that's going to happen in the spring that's going to, celebrate COLA, but also celebrate diversity as well. Whether it's programming like that, different resources, services, accreditations that we could earn in our different areas, really just to show that our faculty, staff, and students that we're very serious about it. We're thinking about these issues, and we want to make sure that, they're able to experience more opportunities to take advantage of stronger resources and services so that they can get out there and really, make a difference like we want our students to do and really be able to flourish in a diverse background, but not only flourish, but to be leaders. And I think that's extremely important, both in our faculty and staff cadre as well as our students. I'll start finishing up here. I can go on and on about these things, but one of the things that actually Huma brought up was the possibility of mentoring. And I know there's mentoring pieces that are out there in our community, whether it's for certain classes, certain departments, even peer mentoring that goes on with our students. But if we can do something that's strategic, substantive, that really helps our populations understand DEI issues, to immerse themselves in those issues, and to learn, and once again, become leaders, I feel that we really want to create a signature mentoring program that hits our faculty and staff and our students in ways that, innovative ways maybe we haven't thought of. Certainly, we want to look at the diverse populations we have within our student body and diverse populations in our faculty and staff and how they may be able to become mentors. I know that many of us are, many of you are. So just something of a signature idea we had that is along the lines of mentoring. So Emily, do you have anything you'd like to say to wrap up before we turn it over to Tom, I believe?
No, Wayne, I think you covered it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wayne. So our next initiative is Initiative 5, which, as you can see, is accessibility and mental health subgroup. And you can see the members of that subgroup who worked on that. And so I'm going to turn it over to Tom Webb, our Director of Office of Disability Services, to kind of share his input.
Thank you. So this initiative is really building off of, I think, a reputation that we have, a pretty solid reputation around accessibility, at least terms of physical accessibility and around mobility, but want to make sure that we're also paying attention to kind of the hidden invisible disability world. And that is to improve campus accessibility for all students, faculty, and staff with mental health. And really, we're trying to outline 3 major goals that we're going to kind of implement over the next few years to get there. But I mean, it's no secret if you look at the national stats and kind of the national research that's out there, even at the state level, of the impact of mental health right now on the workforce, on our students. It's affecting kind of all aspects of society right now. So that's why we really felt this was a pretty critical initiative for us to take a look at. So the first goal we have there is identify students, staff, and faculty with at-risk mental health. How do we get there? We train all staff and faculty on mental health first aid campus-wide by July 1, 2023. And then we also train all staff and faculty on question, persuade, and response, QRP, campus-wide by July 1st, 2024. That particular training is more specific to suicide awareness and prevention, for those of you that are not familiar with QRP or QPR, I'm sorry. The next one there is increase help-seeking behavior of students, staff, and faculty. And how do we get there? Is we create and implement programs that destigmatize mental health by July 1st, 2024. And then ultimately, this is all going to feed into a larger initiative, and that is that we become a JED-approved campus. And I'm guessing that most of you are not familiar with what a JED campus is. So I'm going to put that in the chat in terms of a link, but also try to explain it at a 5,000-foot level here. So JED is a nonprofit that was created in 2000 by a family that lost their son in the 90s to suicide, that was attending a university. And this family created a pretty sizable nonprofit with a lot of influence within higher ed. And since this nonprofit's been in existence, over 400 universities and colleges have worked with them as a partner to kind of make sure that they are providing kind of the best and most impactful mental health services on campus, but also to make sure that their policies, procedures, and just overall culture aligns with kind of best practices around promoting good mental health for the campus. So the way we're going to get there is by creating a mental health task force and implement that by November 1st of this year. I know that we already have a mental health task force, so we're already a few steps ahead there, and several of you, I think, are on that task force. And I believe that the JED campus requirements are already something that task force is looking at. So with that said, I think that would cover all of our goals within our initiative.
Thanks, Tom. Yes, I think we had the first meeting of our mental health task force this past Monday. And so, yeah, that task force has been created and implemented, and looking forward to doing that work. So we kind of worked our way through our each of our initiatives. Again, there were 5. And so this is the point where we have questions and feedback. But before we move into questions and feedback, I'd like to ask if there's any members of our team that would like to add anything to our presentation before we move forward with questions and feedback. Anyone for the good of the order?
Yes, I would like to add, Dr. Cheney, that with the 2 initiatives that I worked on, one is the inclusive excellence into curriculum integrated, and then the accessibility for all students, staff, and faculty with mental health. I think what my view of that is, and I think my partners will agree who worked on this, is that we want to embed it across campus. And it's got to be a campus-wide effort. And that's why we are not trying to reinvent the wheel, and we're not trying to recreate anything. We're trying to use the resources we already have, and we recognize the need. And therefore, we're going to unfold some of these goals and objectives that are very measurable. So this way, we avoid doing any, I guess, we don't repeat anything, and nor do we do just lip service, but we actually integrate all of these goals into a workable campus, so we become a healthier campus.
Dr. Cheney, if I might add something real quick, this is Wayne Stark again. One of the things that has struck me listening to some of the other groups talk about their initiatives, for example, the one at 9 a.m. that had to do with, creating new collaborations and connections in the community and things like that. And it's been pointed out, I think, by you and many others as well, but just the interconnectivity of these different initiatives and how ultimately when they're fleshed out and more formalized, I think a lot of the exciting work is going to be when, we're looking at the other areas and seeing where the segues are and seeing where things dovetail and integrating different aspects of, each of the programs, each of the initiatives into kind of a final set of action plans moving forward.
Thank you for that. Anyone else before we move into feedback and questions? So just to kind of paint a picture of where we're headed, my understanding is each of our teams are going to continue to work and try to finalize a document for sometime in November. I don't have that exact date in front of me. I know Nova has it, but I know we're going to continue to work. And again, just understand that this is a draft document, but what we're going to do is we're going to continue as a team to work on this and kind of flesh out and tighten up our measurable goals. We're going to work on our description of our data. We're going to work on our timelines for the final document, and we're going to work on the responsible parties involved, i.e., what leader on campus, what offices, and should be included in terms of being a responsible or identified as a responsible party. And so again, this is a draft document, and as we have subsequent meetings, we're going to work to kind of tighten up our information with each of our initiatives and include that information. And so I think we have I think the end of November, if I'm not mistaken, or mid-November, we have to finalize our information so that we can have it prepared to present to the Board of Trustees. And so in December, if I'm not mistaken. And so with that, we wanted to list each of the 5 objectives, as you can see, that's on the screen, that we came up with for inclusive excellence, so you can look at them. And if you have any questions and you want to provide some feedback or input that we can jot down, I don't know, Mia, if you could capture some of this information. Some of you may want to share that information in the chat. Some of you may want to unmute yourselves and speak into your microphone and share it that way as well. So at this point, let's just open up the floor for any input and feedback that we can capture. I know it's Friday, but and everyone's probably ready to get out and enjoy their weekend. But if you have some feedback, please share. We'd love to hear it.
I'll speak real quick. I just really appreciate number 5 because again, we are a student-centric and want to continue to be a student-centric campus because that's why we're all here. But I think really faculty and staff, including really the whole of the campus, with mental health, I think it's so important. I think it is something that is becoming more common to talk about without the stigma. But I do think having that holistic approach, I think, is really great.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa.
And Lisa, to your point, I think I'm also really excited about that too. This is Huma Bashir. It's because we have to destigmatize and we have to not only raise awareness for suicide, but also prevent it. And I think Dayton Daily News on Wednesday had a headline about how much mental health is taking over. It's becoming a global problem, and especially on college campuses, and the equity that a lot of various colleges are seeing. And they have to really come up with a plan, and we no longer can avoid this. And not only our students, because we are student-centric, but also our faculty and staff, because they need some resources to work with the students, and also for themselves, because post-pandemic, we are seeing this burnout rate, and we are seeing a lot of people stretched thin or overworking and this work-life balance that might be tipped for some. So just providing these types of resources and a place to create a healthy campus, I think this is why I think this initiative is so important, at least for me.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else? I know, and I'll just add, one of the things that's exciting for me in terms of just participating in this listening session is that it's very important that we allow the opportunity for our campus community, our campus stakeholders to be a part of this process. Oftentimes when I do diversity presentations, I talk about the key element to diversity or any DEI work, and that's intentionality. And so we have to be intentional in our efforts to advance our DEI efforts. And so that's going to take everyone's input. Everyone's input on campus is critical to moving that needle forward as it relates to our inclusive excellence work. And so this is a great opportunity for you, for everyone. We have 50 participants on this WebEx to provide your input. And even if you don't share it today, if it's something that you're thinking about later on that you want to share via email, please feel free to email me and send me an email, shoot it in my inbox. And when we have our subsequent meetings, we'll certainly take that into consideration and add that to our information as we begin to shore up our draft document.
So, Dr. Cheney, there will be feedback surveys are available on the strategic plan website as well, so they can put feedback into that as well.
Thanks for that, Nova. Thank you. I think Nova indicated that there will also be a recording of this video available as well. So is there any other feedback for the good of the order?
This is Lisa. I just had a quick question around recruitment of students, and maybe I missed that. I understand there was conversation for recruitment for faculty and staff, but I'm curious, is there a focus for students specifically, recruitment practices and admission?
Yes, part of the process, we're going to be looking at recruitment, a strategic diversity recruitment plan of underrepresented minoritized students. So we're going to be looking at students recruiting and retaining students from underrepresented backgrounds specifically, and then also recruiting a diverse workforce as well. You're welcome. Anyone else? I don't see any other hands raised. Is there anything else in the chat that I'm not seeing?
You have two comments. So one from Rachel Fulton that said, I look forward to item 2, including a strategic eye towards transfer students as contributors to campus diversity and with the transfer function being an equity issue at large.
Excellent feedback.
And then second one is from Stacy Parr. That just to add, many PK through 12 school districts have introduced trauma-informed care programs for students that abruptly ends in most cases when a student graduates high school.
And if I could add to that, Mia, this is why we're creating this, because we want to be trauma-informed university. And if we can bridge that gap for our college students, because they still are pretty young and they need all the resources and support mentally, physically, so.
And then we have a question from Mary Beth. What do our current students think of this initiative?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if Nova, and maybe you can answer this, did we invite, and I'm sure we did, invited students to the listening sessions. And if, and for whatever reason, we're certainly going to share this information with our students to get their feedback on on this initiative. And again, like I said, going forward, hopefully very, very soon, we're going to be rolling out a campus climate study, hopefully before the end of the semester. So.
That's all I have in the
And that
chat.
climate study is actually going to go out to students, faculty, and staff at both the main campus and the Lake campus. Anyone else? Well, if not, then I just want to say thank you for everyone for participating in this listening session. Thanks to the campus community. Thank you to all the team members. Thank you to Trustee Conway for participating as well and your input. And we're excited about this work. We're excited about moving this work forward. And so, again, we're going to be working in an ongoing effort to shore up this draft document. So hopefully we can have a good, clean document that meets our needs, and we can share that information with our Board of Trustees in December. So thank you all very much for attending, and I appreciate your support.